friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. Coming to you live from a very cold and snowy New Jersey. It is so cold and so snowy outside today. So I'm bundled up, I'm down in the basement, and I have a video for you today. This is part 1 of 2. This is something that has been requested many times. I've been a little apprehensive to do it, but I think it can be fun. It is not meant to be taken seriously. No judgment, no gaslighting, no right or wrong. The first pile that I have here today, which I'm going to talk about today, is about 15 films. And these are movies that I really enjoy, but a lot of people had issues with them. They don't like them for whatever reason. And I'm going to let you know why I like them, and I'm going to let you know what I've read or heard of why people don't connect with the film, or why they would never watch it again, or why they just plain old don't like it. The second part of this video series is going to be films that people love that I don't connect with, and I'm a little nervous about doing that one. And like I said, it's not meant to be taken seriously. No right or wrong, no judgment, no gaslighting, no gatekeeping, none of that. So let me know down in the comments, what are some films that you like, that you hear people saying that they can't stand it, they'll never watch it again? I'm curious. I want to hear your picks. And I'm going to keep my commentary brief. I'm just going to tell you why I like the film and why I've heard people don't like it, because most of these are really well known. This first one is, it's a Darren Aronofsky film. It is called Requiem for a Dream. I'm sure you've heard of it, starring Ellen Burstyn, Jared Leto, Jennifer Connelly, and Marlon Wayans. And I think this is a brilliant, brilliant film. I think it is well written, it is well acted, and it is a very, very hardcore look at addiction. It is like no holds barred, no joke. I mean, this is the real deal. So what I hear a lot of people say is they don't critique the film, the style, the writing, none of it. They just say the subject matter is just too difficult for them to revisit. Maybe it hits too close to home. Maybe it's just too hard to watch. It's fine. You don't have to explain it. There is no reason to have to explain why you don't want to revisit a film that goes this deep and this much of a gut punch about addiction. I totally get it. People are triggered by all kinds of things, and this is one of those topics that sometimes it's just too much. But I think this is a brilliant film. I've watched it many, many times, and I'm going to watch it many more times, but this is my first one on the list, Requiem for a Dream. And this next one, whew, this was one people either really liked it or they had a huge problem with it when it came out. And I don't know, I really liked it. It's a Paul Thomas Anderson film, and it is called Licorice Pizza. Wow, was this one that would evoke a response if you brought it up in a conversation. I love this movie. I love everything about it. It is definitely a time capsule of the 70s, takes place in the 70s, and you have our two main characters. One is played by the son of it is Cooper Hoffman, the son of the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, and we have Alana Haim, who plays the lead gal here. And he's a younger guy. I think he's about 16, and I think she's maybe 19. So she's older. There's some kind of like tension between them, flirting and whatnot goes on, and they are in different situations and different scenes. And one of the things that I do hear people complain about is that they feel there is a lack of a very strong plot. And I will give it that. Sometimes the film tends to meander. It meanders a lot. But I was okay with it because I am just so in awe of anything that takes place in the 70s, because I'm a product of that time period. I love the music. I love the clothes. I love the look. I love the vibe. Everything about it worked for me. The other thing I heard people really uncomfortable with is they didn't like the fact that the love interest was a gal who was older than the guy. And I found that a little odd, because there's a lot of films that we see where the guy is older than a younger gal, and there wasn't a huge age difference between them. It wasn't like she was 40 and he was 16. And also, there's nothing overtly sexual that goes on in this. It's just a lot of flirting and things like that. So I didn't think it was inappropriate in that way. I mean, it could have been a lot worse in that department is what I'm saying. But I really love this. I have the soundtrack. I have it on my phone. I have it on vinyl. I just love this movie. I thought it was great. But I understand why people feel that maybe it should have been a tighter plot. Maybe there should have been more of a linear plot line. But I think it's great. So Licorice Pizza had to make my list. And then this next one, this one started out as being like, people thought it was amazing. And then as it became more and more popular, you know, the critics come in and people say it's too much, she's annoying, she's overbearing. But I think this is a wonderful film. I think it was brilliantly written. And a lot of people agree, a lot of people disagree, and it was up for 5 Academy Awards. It stars Saoirse Ronan, written and directed by Greta Gerwig, Ladybird. I love, love, love this movie. It never gets old. I think it's a, you know, it's a coming of age movie. It's a look at family dynamics. It's a look at adult children of alcoholics. It's a look at mental illness. You have a father who struggles with depression. You have issues between a daughter who's growing up and her mother. And I just think the whole thing, everything about this is just so brilliantly woven together. I think it's just great. The casting was on point. And yes, is Saoirse Ronan's character annoying? Yes, she's overbearing. She's annoying, but she's supposed to be. That's her job. That was her role. And she did it well. I think it's a well done movie, and I can watch this over and over and over again. But people either love this or they hate it. They say that the character of Ladybird just got on their nerves so much they couldn't even stand it. And another, they found the movie to be tedious, and I didn't feel that way. I thought it was really well done, and I think it deserved all the praise and all the accolades that it did get. And I can't wait to see what Greta Gerwig does next, because she's just one of my favorites. So Ladybird had to be on my list. And this one is going to be one. This is another one. It's a little weird. It's a lot weird. It's off the beaten path, but I just love it. It's Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, and we have a very young Malcolm McDowell, and he's running with a violent group, and he's a violent guy, and they put him in this program, like, where they can reprogram their mind, and he's not supposed to be violent anymore, and just all kinds of weird things all kinds of weird things go on. This is a very, very strange, weird movie, but for some reason, I just really love it. I know it's weird. I know it's got some crazy things that happen in it. It's hyper violent in places, but I just love it. I love everything about it. I always have, and I just think it's fantastic. But I know that people are kind of like, what the heck is this about? And they don't understand the hype. And I get it. I get it. It's not for everyone, but if you like this kind of thing, or you want to take a chance on something different, if you've never seen this, maybe just give it one watch. See if you can rent it somewhere, because I think it's really cool, and I think it's a lot of fun. Now this one, people really, really go on and on about this one, and it actually won 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It stars Ralph Fiennes, Juliette Binoche, William Dafoe, and Kristen Scott Thomas. It is The English Patient, and Ralph Fiennes plays a guy who ends up crashing a plane. He makes maps, and he's flying. He crashes a plane at the end of World War II, and he is very, very badly burned. And he's taken to this monastery where he is cared for by a character played by Juliette Binoche. And he is completely wrapped up. He's very, very badly burned. He's probably never going to survive, and if he does, he's never going to be the same. And what he does is he tells her about this amazing love story that he had with this woman that he hoped to get back to. And the story is told through flashbacks. So there's a lot of time jumps, and it's very non-linear storytelling, which I've said over and over again. I'm absolutely fine with it if it's done well, and I think this is done brilliantly. People complain about this movie. They say it drags, it's slow, it's tedious, it's long, it's very long. It's 2 hours and 42 minutes. So they find the runtime too long, and they just really don't like being in that type of a movie for that amount of time, and they thought that it should have been shorter, it should have been more interesting. I found it fascinating. I think it's brilliantly written, brilliantly acted. I think it's a beautiful story. I think it's a powerful story, and I think it's I think it earned all the accolades that it got. Another one that, same category with all the wins and whatnot, but people either love this or they really can't stand it. So The English Patient is my next one. Now this one, I just thought this was a whole lot of fun, and I guess it was just really too weird for a lot of people, seems to be the general consensus. And yeah, it's weird, but it's an A24 movie, so it's a coin toss. It's going to be weird, and you're either going to like it or you're not. It stars Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe in Swiss Army Man. And I just think this is a blast. Paul Dano plays a guy who is stranded on an island, and he's kind of at the end of his rope. He wants to end his life. He's done with everything. And he comes across Daniel Radcliffe, who is a dead guy, and he starts carrying him around. And they have this friendship, and all these weird noises are coming out of this dead body. And he's talking to him and setting up these scenarios where he's got a friend. And I just thought this was a hilarious look at life. And it's a dark topic, it's a dark subject matter, but they just did such a good job with it. And I just love Swiss Army Man. I can't help it. And I know it was a little over the top, it was a lot over the top, and some people just don't connect with it, and I get it, but it's a movie that I really, really like, and I watch it over and over again. I always like it. It's always have so much fun with it. Now this one, I know this is not going to come as a surprise because this is one that people really, they're either into it or they're not. There's not really an in-between. And it's the Avatar movies. I just grabbed the first one, but a lot of people just say it's just too much. It's just enough with the Avatar, enough with the blue people, enough with Pandora, enough with all the CGI. They're not into it. I admit I was not all that excited for the second one when it came out. I was not in a rush to see it. But when I saw it on 4K and I just connected with it, I loved the movie. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautifully done. I immediately went back and watched the original one on 4K, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. And I was not the biggest Avatar fan, but I don't know. I'm a convert now, and I hope I live long enough to see them all done because they seem like they're going to take forever to get to all the ones they want to make. But I have heard a lot of people say, just not into Avatar, just not my thing, and I get it. I get it. I was one of those people, but now I don't know. I love it. So Avatar is the next one. And then this one, this is not going to come as any surprise either. I've talked about it before, and it is the remake of Suspiria. I am a huge, huge fan of Dario Argento's original Suspiria, but I think that this is the type of remake that I really like. I think it brings something different to the table. I think there are parts of it that stay true to the tone of the original, but I think that it does something very different and it stands on its own merit. I think this is a really, really fantastic remake, and there's a lot of people that were just like, I don't get it, I don't understand what's going on, or they're just so fond of the original, which I get. I love the original, and my appreciation of this remake takes nothing away from my love of the original. But I think there are people who are purists and they just want to stick with the original, and that's totally fine, but they just can't stand this. And I get it. It's very, very different. It's very unconventional. It's not a shot-for-shot remake, but that's probably why I like it. And I just think that it's very well done. I think it's very well acted. I love the cast. I love everything about it. So the Suspiria remake is my next one. Now this one will come as no surprise. People either love this or they just said, what the heck was that? What was going on? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I loved this movie, but I will admit, the first maybe half hour, I was thinking to myself, this better get better to live up to all the hype that I've heard about it. And once it kind of found its stride and found its footing, I thought this was fantastic. And talk about non-linear storytelling. This feels like a plot or a let's say a screenplay where they just took everything, threw it at the wall, and hoped that something stuck, but a lot of it sticks. So I just think this is a really fantastic movie. I think it's so creative. I think it's so well done, and I think there's so much heart to it. But I know a lot of people were they were just so over it. By the time the Oscars came around, they did not want to hear about this. They were over it. They were done with it. And people either said it was like the best thing they ever saw or the absolute worst thing they ever saw. So I don't know where you lie on the spectrum with this one, but let me know in the comments. Did you like this one, or was it just like too over the top? I thought it was a really well done movie. And this one, this will ruffle some feathers, but no surprise there. It's Rob Zombie. Come on, you knew it was going to happen. It is Rob Zombie, Halloween 1 and 2, his remakes of the Halloween 1 and 2. I really, really like Halloween, his remake of Halloween and his retelling of it. What I like about it, I think Michael Myers, that is absolutely brutal. And I love that he gave Michael Myers a backstory because we didn't have that in the original 78. And this does not at all take away from my love. Just like Suspiria, it doesn't take away my love for the 78 Halloween. But I do appreciate what Rob Zombie did with his retelling of Halloween. Halloween 2, I do understand why people don't like it. I understand why they don't like both. I agree with some of what they don't like in Halloween 2. My biggest issue is what a lot of people's biggest issue is. It's that weird dreamy thing that happens towards the end. I find that a little weird, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I do still appreciate his efforts on Halloween 2. I don't think it's the greatest work he's ever done. I don't think it's the greatest remake ever done, but I do think it's decent, and it's watchable for me. I'm growing warmer towards it, but I love what he did with the Halloween the original Halloween remake. I think it's fantastic, but I'll take both if you give them to me. So that's my Rob Zombie plug for today. Now this one's another one that's going to get people aggravated, but it is Leatherface. Now, a lot of times when people think I'm talking about Leatherface, they think I'm talking about this one, the Warner Archive one. Leatherface, and it's called Leatherface, the Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I don't like this one really at all. I really don't connect with this one. So I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about this one where we see the origins of Leatherface. It's an origin story of how he came to be. And I know a lot of people really can't stand this, and I get it. I get why you can't stand it. I just thought it was really well done. I thought it was interesting. I thought there was a twist there that I didn't see coming. I know it's not the greatest movie in the world, but for some reason, I enjoy watching this over and over. I don't know. I tend to give horror movies a very wide berth because horror movies to me are meant to just be fun. And if they keep me entertained and keep me engaged, I'm happy. So I am fine with this Leatherface origin story. I know a lot of people have issues with it, but I'm not one of them, so I'm really sorry, but I do like this one. And this is another one. I know a lot of people that I'm getting myself in deeper and deeper with these next few because these are hot button topics here. This is another one from Ari Aster, Midsommar. People either love it or they hate it. I really, really enjoyed this one. I'm a big fan of folk horror, and I think this one checks all the boxes for folk horror. I love that it was done in the daytime. You don't see a lot of horror movies done in the daytime. I love the whole festival thing and things happening that you don't expect. I love that it felt like a movie that was just a whole acid trip, and I didn't have to do any drugs to see what it felt like to do acid, but I just thought this was so much creativity was put into this. And I know it's weird, it's unconventional, but I think that's what makes it interesting. And I know a lot of people, coming off of Hereditary, a lot of people really didn't care for this because it is such a departure from what Hereditary was. But I think it's its own movie. Every movie can't be the same. But I understand why people didn't care for this. I understand why they didn't connect with it. But I really love it. I love everything about it. I love the story. I love the characters. I love the whole festival thing and all the crazy stuff that goes on. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of it. And this next one, I've talked about it before, and I know it's another one. A lot of people don't connect with it. It's another A24 film, but I really like it, and it is Saint Maud. And we have a gal who is deeply rooted in her faith. She's got something, trauma that happened in her past. She is now taking care of a woman who is basically a hospice patient, and she is consumed with trying to basically get this woman to right her wrongs in her life before she passes so that she can pass over and be in a better place. And the woman has no interest in faith, no interest in changing her ways. She is who she is. She's unapologetic, but the gal who's this Maud, who's taking care of her, she feels like she has to help this woman find redemption in order to clear her guilt, is what it kind of comes down to. But I think this is a fantastic movie. So deep, so much goes into it. And I think it's one that makes you sit and you have to think. And I love movies that do that. I love things that are different. I've never seen anything like this. And I love that it made me sit and think, why is she doing this? What is she doing? What is she trying to get out of this? I just love it, but I understand why people are like, this is wacky, it's boring, it's going nowhere. I don't understand why she's doing what she's doing. I get it. I do get it, but I don't know. I say if you have any interest in this, give it a chance, and the ending, you can't argue that the ending will blow you away. It's fantastic. And this one, I think suffers from marketing problems. This is the Alexander Payne film that no one likes except me, I think. It's called Downsizing with Matt Damon. And I think the problem with this one was the trailer. It was the marketing, the trailer. They marketed it as a comedy. It is not a comedy. It starts out as a little bit funny. It's these people and they're going to go, they're supposed to be saving the planet by going to live in a place where nothing's bigger than 5 inches, but you can never come back to this world. And they're going to go as a couple, Matt Damon and Kristen Wiig, they're going to go as a couple, and things happen, and he ends up over there, and I just think it becomes a full-on drama. And I don't think people expected that. I heard the moans and the groans in the audience, in the theater. I saw this in theaters. I heard the people moaning and groaning. I saw people getting up and walking out. But I don't know. I stand by this. I still think it's a very good drama, or maybe dramedy. There is some comedy in it. But I think it's a really interesting drama, and I just thought it was very, very creative. Now, granted, I'm a huge Alexander Payne fan, so I'm sure that that helps a little bit. I don't know. Something about this draws me back in every single time. So, Downsizing, I know a lot of you probably can't stand it. You can't even stand looking at me holding this up, but I really like it. And the last one is just, if everything else didn't put you over the edge, this one will. Breetburn. I loved Breetburn. And long and short of it, it's a horror story. It's basically, what if Superman came down, a little baby comes down, family finds him, adopts him, raises him as their own, and instead of being a good guy, he's an anti-superhero, and it gets gruesome and gory, and it's part anti-superhero film, part horror film. So and it's pretty gory in spots, but people just didn't like this combination. They didn't like the character. They didn't like the way the plot was written. They just thought it lacked substance. And I understand that, but that it is what it's exactly what it says it is. It's like, what if Superman came down and as he got older, he turned out bad instead of good? And that's the long and short of it. So if you want something different and you want an anti-superhero film, check out Breetburn. And if you hate it, you can blame me. So I'll take the credit for that. But I really enjoyed it, and I wish they would have made a second one, but there's no footing for that. It's not going to happen. So this is my list. These are the lists of films that I like that people tend to not like. If they don't like it, they really don't like it. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you something to laugh at, and I hope maybe you're cringing a little bit, because that's the whole point of this. It's supposed to be fun. But I want to thank you for watching. You know I appreciate everyone who takes time to check out these videos. If you like crazy things like this, lists, recommendations usually, collection updates, movie hauls, movie reviews, the whole deal, anything that has to do with physical media. If you like that kind of thing, please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you know when I upload again. That's probably going to be Monday, and I have some cool videos coming up this week, so look forward to that, and I'm going to catch you in the next one. So for now, that's a wrap.